What's up, you guys? It's your boy Bill Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the entire basketball community. If you want more basketball content, tune in to Basketball Conversations every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, as well. We discuss basketball related topics, news, debates, and everything else in the world of basketball. Now that I have the now that I have 1,000 subscribers, now you guys will regularly see community posts now. So from now this point forward, anytime when I'm going to do my historical perspective videos, I'm going to put in a poll and put in a list of players that you want me to to cover on. Whoever, which player or series or moment gets the most votes is what the video that I basically will do for that day or for the remaining videos that I can do for the entire week. So be tune in to see all my community posts and just give it a vote away of what you want to see. So the first poll I did during the weekend, I asked you guys which player I wanted to cover on, and I basically listed Jason Kidd, Drazen Petrovic, Kevin Johnson, and also Tim Hardaway Sr. And Jason Kidd ended up being the most votes. So for this one right here, we're going to discuss about one of the greatest point guards in the game, Mr. Jason Kidd. Now I did a video about this, earlier when my YouTube channel was starting to grow, but now since I'm at 1,000 subscribers, I can reach out to you guys a little bit more, so we can discuss about this now. So the way I look at Jason Kidd, he's perhaps one of the best, all around point guards that you'll ever see in the NBA. Standing in at 6'4", 210 pounds. This guy was perhaps one of the best all around point guards that you'll ever see in basketball. Not the greatest, pure athlete per se, but this guy had a knack of, just had a great sense of the basketball court, knew how to, make great passes, knew how to make plays, in stretch in big time and during the down the stretch during the games, but also that anytime where he had played as point guard, his teams were winners and contenders. And to me, he in my book, he's probably one of the top 5 point guards of all time. You can put him at top 10 if you want to. I have him as top 5, obviously behind Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robertson, John Stockton, and then I have Jason Kidd at number 5. But I want to discuss about more about his career per se. So, Jason Kidd was born in San Francisco, California, and was raised in an upper middle class section of Oakland. His father was African American, and his mother was basically Irish American. So, as a youth, he was a highly scouted AAU basketball player, and he was already garnering all-star MVP awards based on his basketball skills. So he basically started playing basketball at a very young age. But when he attended East Oakland Youth Development Center, he basically played with some of the best players in Oakland, which also included Gary Payton. And it was widely known that at that time Gary Payton used to wipe the floor with a young Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd credits his one-on-one tutorship and also his games with Gary Payton with helping him grow into that confidence or whatever, but also putting in that dog, that confidence in Jason Kidd that was definitely needed as he was growing himself as a basketball player. So attending St. Joseph's Notre Dame High School in Alameda under the coach guidance of Frank Laporte. Jason Kidd led his high school team to consecutive state championships by basically averaging 25 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds and 7 steals a game during his senior year. During that same year, he also posted individual honors, including the Naismith Award as the nation's top high school player. He was also named Player of the Year by Parade and Teen Magazine. He was also the all-time prep leader in assists with about 1,055 assists, and the state's seventh highest career scorer with over 2,661 points. He was also named the California Player of the Year for a second time, and he was also a McDonald's All-American. And during 2012, he was actually honored as one of the 35 greatest McDonald's All-Americans of all time. Um, and the funny thing about this is that he was one of the most highly regarded, point guards in the nation, and he had offers like Arizona, Kentucky, Kansas, and Ohio State, offering full board scholarships. But he decided out of pure, you know, out of pure, dedication to his state and to his neighborhood, he decided to attend the University of California, a school that at that time, that even though they were still a good program. They were off of a 10-18 season and haven't even won a conference title since 1960. So by his first year with California, Jason Kidd averaged 13 points, 7.7 assists, 4.5 rebounds per game, and 3.8 steals, which basically earned him the National Freshman Year of the Year honors and a spot on the All Pac-10 team. He also set a record of 110 steals, which is still the record for the NCAA by a freshman, and set the school record for most steals in a season. While his 220 assists that same year was also a school record. And during that 92-93 season, he helped lead California to the first bit of the NCAA tournament and made his biggest splash on the national stage by basically helping California upset the two-time defending champion Duke Blue Devils, who were going to he was going paired up against by Bobby Hurley, who was basically the most established point guard at that time. Remember, that Duke team was still a really good team at that time. They went 24-8 that year, and you had Bobby Hurley, you had Grant Hill, you had Cherokee Parks, you had Antonio Lang. They were future NBA prospects, and this was a year after Leitner, basically won his second national title the year after that and basically went into the NBA. But for that game per se, I think that game, if I could remember off the top of my head, um, Bobby Hurley and basically Jason Kidd went toe to toe with one another. And by that time, Bobby Hurley scored 32 points in that game, but also Jason Kidd basically controlled the flow of the game. Even though he didn't shot well with only while scoring 11 points, he had 14 assists and he grabbed 8 rebounds in that game. Did a really good job basically controlling the game. And his teammate Lamar Murray basically scored 28 points in that game to help lead California into the big upset against Duke. So it was a really coming out party for Jason Kidd at that time in that big stage. But then they continue on to their success in the sophomore season when he averaged 16 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 3.1 steals and nine assists per game, basically breaking the previous school record for most assists a season with 272, while also leading the nation in that category. He was also selected first team All American and the first California basketball player, I should say, first University of California basketball player per se, to be named that honor since 1968. And also was Pac-10 Player of the Year, becoming the first sophomore in history to receive that honor, and basically helped lead the Golden Bears to another trip to the NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, they were upset in the first round. By that time, Jason Kidd foregoed his junior season and basically declared for the NBA draft. All right. So by that time, the 94 draft class was pretty much a really loaded draft class. I mean, you had Grant Hill, who was basically the nation's best overall player, and Glenn Robinson, who was basically the best pure scorer of that draft class. And Jason Kidd was basically selected second overall by the Dallas Mavericks. By that time, the Dallas Mavericks were fresh off of their worst season in the NBA when they went 13 and 69 that year. And that team was just beyond terrible. And I could remember that Jimmy Jackson, who was previously drafted in 19 was it back in 1992, basically held out until the final 2 months of the season. I mean, it was just a really, really bad team at that time. But basically when Jamal Mashburn got drafted in '93, they were still a horrible team. And unfortunately, Quinn Buckner, who was basically a Bob Knight protege, thought that his discipline and dictatorship type tactics would be good for the team. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, and nobody was having fun with that team. Let's be real. I think Quinn Buckner should have been more better off, coaching at the college level than he would be in the pro level. But that's just my personal opinion. But back to Kidd. In his first season with the Mavericks, he helped lead to one of the biggest improvements during that 94-95 season, when they went 36 and 46, which was a 23 game improvement, which is basically the largest improvement in the NBA. During his first season with Dallas, he averaged 11 points per game, had 1.9 steals per game, 7.7 assists per game, and basically 5.4 rebounds per game. But one of the big glaring weaknesses that Kid had at that time was that he was not notably a strong shooter. For his first year, he only shot 69% from the foul line and 27% from 3-point range. So one of the big key areas that he had to work on was basically his overall shooting. But I remember one game against the defending champion Houston Rockets. It was basically during that same season against the Rockets, where basically he had a monster triple double. And that game against the Rockets, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up just real quick. In that game against the Rockets, all right, he had 38 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and basically 8 3-pointers in that game, and basically willed that Mavericks team to victory against the defending champion Rockets in OT. So there were times where he had, great performances from his shooting range, you know what I'm saying? But he was basically a pure point guard that knew basically how to control the game and knew how to push the tempo. And when he was allowed to, handle the rock and basically dictate the game, he was a phenomenal point guard. And that same rookie year, he shared rookie of the year honors with Grant Hill of the Detroit Pistons at that time. I know that there have been a lot of people that have kept saying that, Glenn Robinson should have won rookie of the year, but I'm just leaving it for you guys up to the debate. But by next year, Jason Kidd showed more improvement in his game. He increased his scoring by basically scoring 16 points per game, 2.2 steals per game, and uh, basically rounded up to 9.5 assists per game. And also his shooting started to slowly improve a bit. Still was shooting 69% from the foul line and shot 33% from 3-point range. And it basically became the first Maverick in years to be voted as the starter for the All Star game. And that Mavericks trio of Jason Kidd, Jamal Mashburn, and Jim Jackson were basically a young trio that was supposed to be the the big three the big three that was going to help lead the Mavericks back to their winning ways. Unfortunately, you know chemistry issues, personal egos, and also a fake love triangle involving Tony Braxton. You know what I'm saying? Which was never that was basically false. Basically proved to be the downfall of the team. I just felt that the Mavericks didn't do a good job of surrounding themselves with veterans that could kind of just nurture those young players and probably give them an opportunity to try to, learn how to play in the NBA. But you know what? It just wasn't meant to be. And you know, unfortunately, Cade clashed a lot with Jimmy Jackson, and he clashed a lot with basically with coaches. And unfortunately, during his third season in the league, he was traded midway through the season to the Phoenix Suns, and that Suns team was a very interesting Suns team. This was a team by that time that started the season 0-13, and by when Kidd joined the uh the Suns during that time, they made a huge, turnaround and made the playoffs as a seventh seed and nearly upsetted the Seattle Supersonics. But by his first full season with the Suns, he helped lead them to another huge turnaround and helped lead the Suns to a 56, regular season, uh, victor win total. And he was starting to, show himself as a more of a fast-paced type of point guard that was really can throw good lob passes, can lead into transition buckets, or spot you up for a good 3-point shot. And that team in Phoenix was a more of a small ball type of lineup with Kidd, Kevin Johnson, Rex Chapman, and Steve Nash. Sometimes on the floor at the same time with a young Antonio McDyess at center. This was a Antonio McDyess that was explosive and athletic before the knee injuries, derailed his career. But by '99, Jason Kidd basically averaged 10 assists per game and started to become the new king in terms of assists. By '98, '99, he had three consecutive years where he led the NBA in assists. And Kidd By that time in Phoenix, was starting to show much more improvement in his game. He started to, trust his 3 point shot more. He was improving from the free throw line, and he was showing much more, patience with his game. You know what I'm saying? And his 3 years in Phoenix, they won 56 games. By 99 2000, he was basically paired up with Penny Hardaway and helped them win 53 games during that year. And by 2001, he helped lead the Phoenix Suns to basically to a 51 regular season, you know, uh, win total. By that time, he basically helped lead the Suns to basically around 56 wins, 53 wins per season. You know, with Jason Kidd, what I really loved about him was is that he was a guy that, the best was basically was a pit bull. One of the big things that people tend to forget is that this guy was tough. He was a tough-minded point guard that basically demanded the best out of his players and out of his team, and basically out of the coaching staff too, which sometimes can be a little bit conflicting. But at the same time, he showed really more about his true grit about winning. But unfortunately, there was some controversy about Kidd during his time in Phoenix. I do remember. I do remember that he had a domestic dispute with basically his then wife Georgiana at that time, basically for domestic abuse, and basically was ordered to go to anger management for about 6 months, and basically completed the mandatory counseling, and basically were reconciled until they eventually divorced back and basically divorced in 2007. But during that 2001 offseason, Jason Kidd was basically traded from the Phoenix Suns to the New Jersey Nets for Stephon Marbury. And this is where Jason Kidd's career took off even further. And what I mean by is the New Jersey Nets at that time were basically a dormant franchise. They had some good teams in basically in recent times in the 90s, but they were just not able to sustain it together. But when Jason Kidd came into the New Jersey Nets during the 01 and 02 season, immediate turnaround. Um, in that previous year in 2001, the New Jersey Nets only won 26 games. All right. When Jason Kidd came in to the Nets, the big one of the biggest turnarounds in NBA history. This was a team that basically went last place in their own division to winning 52 regular season games, first in their division and first in their conference. As a basically as a 2017, this was the only time in their franchise history where the Nets won 50 or more games during that season. And this kid had basically the best year of his entire career by far. I mean that by far. He averaged 14.7 points per game, and basically only averaged about 9.9 assists a game. But his presence on the floor and his ability to control the game, what I'm saying, it made that Nets team even a better team. I mean, you got to think about that. In one offseason, he turned the team into a title contender. In one offseason, all right? And I will still contend that Jason Kidd should have won MVP in 2002 or 2003. And it's no shade against Tim Duncan. But Jason Kidd turned that Nets team into a title contender and led them to two straight trips to the NBA Finals in those years. I mean, that's something you don't rarely see in today's basketball at all. And that really showed a lot more about how valuable Jason Kidd was as a basketball player. Okay. And this was a period of time where 5 out of the last 6 years he led the NBA in total assists. Okay. In assists per game. This guy literally made the Nets team a title contender. Okay. This was a team that was led by not just Kidd himself, Kerry Kittles, Keith Van Horn, Kenyon Martin, you know what I'm saying? Aaron Williams, Jason Collins, you know what I'm saying? Tom McCullough for one year, you know what I'm saying? Then you had Lucius Harris, Richard Jefferson. This was a really good Nets team that unfortunately ran into the Lakers and the Spurs that basically dominated the 2000s, right? So during basically his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 during his 9 seasons with the New Jersey Nets. Okay, during his 9 seasons with the New Jersey Nets. Okay, I should say 7 seasons. During his 7 seasons, he averaged basically 14.6 points per game. Okay. He averaged 9.1 assists per game, shot 80% from the foul line. All right. And in terms of his 3 point percentage, he shot 34% from 3 point range and shot basically 39 to 40% from the field. This was a guy that basically found his niche in New Jersey and literally turned that whole Nets team into a title contender. I cannot stress this enough. When you go to a team that didn't even make the playoffs and had one of the worst records in the NBA, and you turn that team into a title contender, you are a great player. And that's what Jason Kidd basically was. And the Nets were pretty much a team that was on the cusp of winning a championship. They were getting closer and closer of winning that championship. They just needed a big man that could bang against the other top, power forwards and centers during the in the Western Conference. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Matumba had injury problems. You know what I'm saying? And then Kristich had like a knee problem in '07 that really derailed his career. You know what I'm saying? And the Nets, as good as they were basically they just fell short of winning that elusive championship. And also the other thing too was that after the 02-03 season, when they lost in 6 games to the San Antonio Spurs, he was basically an unrestricted free agent, and he was very, very close to signing with the San Antonio Spurs and replace Tony Parker. And after basically getting cold feet and making a decision that he would later regret, he would stay with the Knicks on a 6-year, $99 million deal. Okay, and unfortunately, Jason Kidd during that period was also slowing down physically. And during the '04 playoffs, he had issues with his knee that we had to go underwent Michael fractured knee surgery to repair the knee. And even though he returned and made a full recovery, he wasn't really physically that same player that he once was. And even though the Nets were able to acquire Vince Carter, the Nets just could not find a way to make that work. And unfortunately, the team progressively got worser and worser, and then eventually, their ship sailed. And then by 2008, midway through that season, Jason Kidd was traded back to the Dallas Mavericks, right? But it was during that time where basically Jason Kidd and Dirk Nowitzki finally got it together. And by that 2010, 2011 season, right, he basically helped to lead the Dallas Mavericks to another successful season, and basically led the Dallas Mavericks to 57 regular season victories, and basically led them to a renaissance run to the NBA Finals, where they eventually upset the heavily favored Miami Heat, led by the big three of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Right. Then he ended up playing a couple more seasons with Dallas, and then one more and a couple more seasons with New York, before ultimately calling it a career. So Jason Kidd, for his career, um, he is basically third all time for career triple doubles with about 107, third in playoff triple doubles with about 11, and he's ranked second all time in career assists and steals, and ninth all time in 3 point field goals made. And this was a guy that didn't even have a consistent jump shot coming into the draft. But for him to finish his career with as the ninth man all time in career 3 points made really said something about his work ethic and his ability, to improve his weak points. You know what I'm saying? When he basically rounded up his career, he was a 10-time All Star. He made first team All NBA 5 times. He made defensive first team 4 of those times, and you know what I'm saying, and led the NBA in assists 5 times. This was consistently one of the best point guards you'll ever find, and he was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist with Team USA as well. So, but by that time, Jason Kidd, ended his playing career, and eventually was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And he basically started out his coaching career in 2013 when he became the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. He basically coached that team for about 1 year and made the playoffs, in his first year before ultimately was let go. Then he's coached, the Milwaukee Bucks for 4 seasons and helped them lead the playoffs to 2 of those 4 seasons. And there's been a lot of talk about, him, should have not been fired, from the Milwaukee Bucks job. I'll just say it like this. You know, the Bucks were looking to try to, build a championship team around Giannis. And I think that in one of those instances, I think that the Bucks were looking at the long-term future and how to make the team better. So that's why I believe they made the decision to fire Jason Kidd, but I don't agree with that. But that's just up for debate. Then now he's basically an assistant coach for the LA Lakers, what I'm saying, and was basically responsible in helping, LeBron James become even a better passer and helping him lead the league in assists and winning and basically help the team win a championship with the Lakers, winning his second ring as a coach. So overall, to me, Jason Kidd was one of the best pure point guards you'll ever find. Very tough, very durable, and had a really sense of leadership every time on the floor. He wasn't a vocally active person. He basically let his play, do the talking for him. Overall, you know, Jason Kidd all time is perhaps one of the top five, top 10 best pure point guards in the NBA. And when you terms of when you look at what he's been able to achieve, from basically from high school to college and to the pro game, this guy will forever go down as one of the best pure point guards of the 2000s by far. You know what I'm saying? And if he were playing in today's basketball, I guarantee you one thing: he would basically average about double digit assists every season. Considering the fact how spread out and how wide open the NBA game has is become now, he would be a much more of a devastating point guard. And when you have to consider the fact that he is naturally a pass first point guard, and then you add that the ability to shoot the ball consistently, I mean, he was basically a dangerous weapon. You know what I mean? And certainly a point guard that you have to really, be aware of all times. So that's just my 2 cents about Jason Kidd, about the great career that he had. You guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and stay tuned for more historical perspective videos this week. But with that, I'm out. Peace.